In an attempt to bolster their brand as one that is both elite and exclusive, Equinox Gym has decided to not let anyone sign up for new memberships on January 1st. So just a quick kind of review, Equinox Gym is a luxury fitness company, or Equinox Group is a luxury fitness company which features the gym, and so they're like an expensive, high-end sort of gym type of thing that's going on. Now, what they did is said, no one can get a new membership on January 1st, and this is part of a new advertising campaign, and we're going to discuss it on two levels. One, the messaging, like, is this a good thing? And two, is this even like a good sort of marketing campaign? And so let's take a look at one of the things that they put on Instagram. We don't do January. January is a language we don't understand, a fantasy delivered to your door in pastel-colored box. It talks about change. It wants you to start something when you should be in the middle of it. And so it thinks the time is on its side. It needs a new outfit before it can begin, stalling, shortcutting, giving up. And so this is the sort of like, we're like already so much better than everyone else type of vibe. And sure, okay, if that's your brand, that's your brand. We're not going to begrudge them that. But what they've done is they've paid for this sort of advertising. They have this on billboards on the street. This is a commentary by someone who helped develop the campaign. The campaign we developed with our friends at Equinox aims to snub short-term New Year's resolutions and encourage dedication instead. Fine, sure, admirable to some extent. I understand it, it's a vibe, I get it. To drive the message home, the entire chain is preventing new customers from attaining Equinox memberships on New Year's Day, so try again tomorrow. Okay, first of all, is this an effective campaign? Well, it seems pretty free to just not let people sign up on New Year's Day, because people generally don't sign up for the gym on New Year's Day. They generally do it the Monday after New Year's, or the 2nd. So it's actually kind of a little bit of a freebie in terms of your marketing campaign. And it does kind of paint a picture in terms of like this elitist group that you are trying to, portray. We don't speak January. It's not in our language. We speak a higher tone. By the way, the comment section on the Instagram post is like hilarious because it's, it's people either hypercritical or just like, yeah. But here's the kicker. It's there's some hot hypocrisy here, or just like idiocy, or it's deeply inconsistent, because here's the idea. So first of all, if you're really committed to this, don't let anyone sign up in January. Don't let them sign up for the first week. Don't let them sign up for the first 2 weeks. If you really want to drive the messaging, but that's not what they want. They actually just want a ton of new members, which is why they have an ad campaign specifically in January like every other gym does, right? So in this criticism of the January bump that all gyms get, they are doing an ad campaign specifically in January to exploit the bump that they are criticizing themselves. So they are criticizing their potential new members for the very thing that they want them to be doing and why they're having an ad campaign. It's idiocy. Like they're bandwagoning on the very thing that they're criticizing like absolute clowns. It's look, if you came out and did this in December and said, you know what, you might want to come and buy our gym in January, but you know what, kick rocks then. Because we're not going to let you sign up for the first 2 weeks in January. You should already be in it. If you did this in December, fantastic. To some degree. We'll get on the messaging in a little bit. But it's certainly understandable and consistent with the brand. Fair enough. But you are literally doing a campaign in the middle of January, just starting this January push. You are having, on the streets, you are paying for this sort of thing. And you are saying we don't do January. This, my friends, this right here, is doing January. This is January being done. Where you're talking about having they are doing, in the process of doing what every other gym does in January, which is try and accrue members while criticizing potential new members for the very thing. And so I get it. Like, some people want to be like self-flagellatedly like be like, oh, this is the type of culture I want to be in, and that's fine, fair enough. But if you pause to actually think about this like ad campaign, it comes off like bad. So that's the first thing. That's the marketing. The second thing is the messaging, and it's, do we think this is good, and do we want like an elitist thing in our gym? And to be fair to them, if that's their vibe and that's their brand, it's fair enough. But I still think that, a lot of people come into January, they're looking for a change, and a lot of people are extra motivated on January 1st. And, it is, or January 2nd rather, they're extra hungover on January 1st often. But people want to change, and they want to get in a new habit, and they're excited about this. And then coming in and telling them to kick rocks, I think it's callous to some degree. And once again, understand, part of their brand. Sure, fair. But it's this, you have an opportunity to kind of help people out, and you are shunning it, and you're doing it for a branding reason. Fine. A lot of people aren't going to be coming in on the 1st anyways. They're clowns. And sorry, just to be clear, Equinox people are the clowns, not the people who aren't coming in on January 1st. Also, throughout all this, I went to the gym today. It's January 2nd as I'm recording this. There was definitely, a ton of people there. It was hard for me to get a platform. It was annoying. I, get it. The last 2 years before this, I've taken the first week of January off, because it generally dies down after the first 2 weeks. But, the sending people away when they are... they're, desperate for a change. They finally have the motivation to do it, and then you just tell them to kick rocks. Nah, my guy. That's... You are dedicated to have a certain sort of image instead of actually helping people, is my perspective on this. Which is, you're going to attract a certain type of group or clientele. And perhaps the people who want to overpay for a gym membership, this is... it's you're filling a niche. You're filling a demand. And perhaps people who also want to be abused when they go to sign up for a gym membership on January 1st. The ones who actually probably are the go-getters, because they're not the January 2nd crowd, they're the January 1st crowd. The go-getter crowd, you're saying, yeah, you know what? We don't do January. I could certainly find it a bit more of an admirable... The perspective's not incoherent. I can find it to be somewhat admirable to some degree if you just said... If you actually didn't do January. All of January, blacked out. No new signups. But this is a deliberate attempt to get signups in January. It is callous. Callous is not even the language I want to use. Because, it implies this sort of position of power, this downtrodden people, you're being mean to them or whatever. It's just rude and rude in an awkward way. You're saying you're not doing this thing while you're in the very midst of doing it. It's you rub the lamp and then you refuse to talk to the genie, and you're like, why'd you come out here? Why you beck and call at people's beck and call? And it's well, you called for me to come out here. Can I help you? And it's we don't do January, and we pulled out this ad space just in January to tell you that we don't do it. Come again? And so it's certainly a creative campaign to some degree. I don't think it's very well thought out. And I think that when you're trying to get people to change or institute new habits, is really just about adherence and consistency. And so, rewarding them for the first, little steps and trying to get them to continue to go along is, really how you, institute a long-term sort of change. And as a gym, it's you think, okay, well, what is your mission statement as a gym? Such that you want to tell these people to fuck off when they come to you for a gym membership. I actually don't know Equinox's mission statement, and perhaps this is something I can look up. Actually, let's look it up right now. Okay, so their mission statement is, Equinox mission statement to propel measurable client results through structured and progressive education that inspires breakthrough individualized program design. Okay, so they're trying to inspire breakthrough, get results, and be structured and progressive, which is actually how you get results, because you need to have a structure, and progressive overload is how you do anything in terms of fitness. So okay, this is your mission statement. Fair enough. The biggest types of results you can get are taking in someone who's not doing anything and getting them to do something. Going from the biggest gains in fitness you can get is just by going from doing a little bit to doing doing from nothing to a little bit. Like if you take someone who's completely sedentary and you get them to walk 3,000 steps a day, oh baby, that's like a huge gain. And, you know, through progressive education that inspires breakthrough. So we're talking about inspiring new people. How is this inspirational to tell people, yeah, we don't do that, kick rocks? Maybe it is. That's fair enough. You know, we don't speak January. January is a language we don't understand. And it's like, it just comes off with like the serious like hustle porn vibes where like, you know, you're telling the people, oh, if you don't wake up before 5 a.m., you're a cuck. And it's like, okay, bro, like, you know, if you don't already have a gym membership before January, would have loved to have seen this in December and then have them zero social media in January. Like the full performance commitment to we don't do January. Just have a bunch of ads in December saying we're going to be gone in January because we're going to be at the gym. This would have been, in my mind, a lot better. Or a lot better in terms of anyone who's actually thinking about their ad campaign for like more than a half a minute and realizing that they are doing a January push in January and they're just doing January, and then saying we don't do it. But let's go back to their mission statement. And then they want to educate. Well, you're not educating people by telling them to kick rocks and having this sort of angsty vibe that's a part of your brand, which, you know, okay, you want to be elitist. But there's nothing in here that says anything about, you know, elitism, exclusivity, having a culture of, you know, excellence. Which, so if you're saying we want to promote a culture of excellence regarding fitness, this is a fine thing. You know, whatever your goals are, what you do should be consistent with your goals. And I don't think that this jives with their mission statement. This campaign, we don't speak January, and so it's a miss, like on two regards in my mind. If they care about increasing the fitness of the average person, I think that the amount of people that they repelled from getting a gym membership is non-zero. And I think that the people who... it's tough because I actually think some people will respond to this type of campaign and just be like, yeah, I should stop being such a pussy. I need to get in there. And maybe they're filling a niche and maybe they are increasing like the fitness overall of people with like a campaign like this. So yeah, but at the same time, if you stop and think about it, it's so dumb. And so it's so hard to like kind of try and like... I'm trying. I really am here. You know, and to be fair, I think that if you look at the reporting on it, there's like a mixed bag. It's not you, it's January. And then, let's see. I'm an all access Amex Platinum member and don't want to see it on Twitter, for setting goals and I don't want to support a gym that shames people for setting goals any month during any part of the year. I want to highlight this as I do it, but I don't want to go to Twitter. It can have a large public health impact for a gym to support their members, even if there's a 90% drop after. You know, and then here's another one who's like, so this person's critical, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they are. We don't speak January. Equinox isn't accepting new memberships today. Super bold, super smart, strategically aligned with their brand. Which, on the surface level, I do think is strategically in line with their brand. But then if you stop and think about it, performative-wise, they're doing January. They're just like, we don't do January. It's like, you know, standing up in the middle of a public library and saying, we keep it quiet up in here. And then, what? That's... You might have to go back to the drawing board on that one, you know. And so it's not super bold, or I guess maybe it's super bold, but it's not super smart. It is strategically consistent, but this woman's take is 2/3 right, I suppose. Not bright. So this is kind of what I think about all this, but I'm super annoyed when I saw this, because I think that, man, I just love it when I see someone who's super out of shape in the gym, because it means that the amount of quality of life that is being increased when you see someone that's really, really struggling or really having a hard time at the gym you know, the quality of human life that's going up when that's going on is way higher than just seeing the absolutely like shredded guy or like, you know, the super fit people. Like, they're not really increasing quality of life of a human being that much when they're in the gym, right? Because they're already really fit. And I'm not trying to suggest that they shouldn't continue to be fit and that like the gyms should be for unfit people, but what I'm trying to say is like, it makes me happy to see people in the gym that are really out of shape because they're getting in better shape. And, you know, humanity is moving up a peg, let's say. And so what this is, and I was like disgusted to see this because I think gyms shouldn't be elitist at all. Or like, I'm not a fan of hyper elitist gyms. Like, I lived out of like a big box gym, even though I'm doing like weird, more specialized stuff. In part because I like the culture of big box gyms that says fitness is accessible or should be accessible to everyone. So perhaps I just don't like Equinox's brand as well on top of this. But it's this, you know, the you want people to increase the quality of their lives. Getting a gym membership is a great thing. A lot of people do it in January. They work out some. If they just work out 10% of the year at the like beginning of January, that's still better than nothing. Quality of life is going up. Maybe they shouldn't pay for their membership all that long, but okay, that's like a different conversation. But this is like this is shaming the person who can't get in there and be like there all the time. And you know, it's, we don't do January. It's I'm not with it. And so I thought about it because it made me upset, and then I realized how dumb this campaign is, because the campaign is just, it's a January campaign. For, we don't do January. Anyways, rant over. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Or if there's like any sort of news you want me to comment on regarding fitness, feel free to throw it up in the comments or message me or whatever on Instagram, this sort of thing. Have a good one. If you are looking for a gym membership, I encourage you to choose someone other than Equinox, I suppose. I mean, if you like their branding, actually, choose Equinox. I will concede that. If you like this, you think it's clever, you think it's funny, choose Equinox. If you are in the market for, you know, any type of gym membership, you know, you pick the one you want. This sort of thing. Adherence and consistency is the most important thing. If going to a gym that says we don't speak January, it makes you more likely to be more consistent, then do Equinox or whatever. It is expensive though, from what I understand. Anyways, have a good one.